Hey guys, welcome to this video or podcast if you're listening. I wanted to talk to you about my education, not my full education, but my university education, my degree. My degree was in music and art at the same time, but my music degree was fantastic. It was just the best because it was so bonkers. It was so broad. You know, we covered so much. We covered sound art, we covered installations, we covered classical composing, we covered Max MSP, we covered Logic programming, we covered so much. And obviously that's just the music side. As we, we had the art side, photography, dance, we had all of it. It was so holistic. It was the most wonderfully creative degree. And I wanted to talk about the three things I learnt, I got out of it the most. The first one is actually a really obvious one that many people talk about, and it's basically that you know nothing. And even when you think you know something, you still know nothing. I went in there having studied electric guitar for a year to become a professional musician, which I abandoned because I didn't want to spend 4 hours of my day practicing scales and things. I went in there with like a knowledge of music. I was like, yeah, I know music. I'm pretty clever, actually. And then all of a sudden we were talking about all these other things that I knew nothing about, like studying African music, all these wonderful polyrhythms and cross rhythms, and talking about timbre and texture and all these other things. I mean, that's just scratching the surface of the things we talked about, of transmuting what you see into what you hear. All these amazing composers that had sat and notated birdsong and turned it to a piece of music. I realised, I don't know any of this. I don't even know, I don't know how to write for an orchestra. How do I do that? So I studied. I studied how to write for an orchestra. I studied orchestration. I studied scores, realising I know none of this. I don't even know how to write notation, so I started practicing. And each time I learned something new, and this is the same, each time I learned something new, it opened another door to another room that I knew nothing about. And this still happens to this day. I mean, even just like internet marketing, I know nothing about that. I know a little bit, but I still know nothing, because what will happen is I will go down the rabbit hole and I will open up door after door after door into room after room after room of stuff I do not know about. But that's wonderful, because all of these things excite me. Second thing I learned was you must follow your interests. I talk about this all the time. You must follow those things that you find interesting. And this is the same thing. It's because if you go into this library of knowledge, you go, oh, what's this book about? You'll read it because you're interested, and something in that book will reveal another thing, and you will find this path laying out in front of you of interests. The interest is the drive that will push you through learning difficult things. Enjoyment is there too, but the interest, the curiosity, I wonder how they did that. I wonder what they did to get that sound. That will drive you, and that interest was what got me through so much learning when I was studying for my degree. Because I was just interested in so much. How does that choreographer dictate choreography? How does she write it down? This is Anna-Teresa de Keersmaeker, whose choreography is amazing. She does these ridiculously beautiful dances to Steve Reich's music. That type of thing. That stuff really interested me. So I followed those interests, and those things will then feed back into your life and in your work. And that is what you must do. Follow your interests. Number 3. This is a lesson that comes up all the time. You reap what you sow. You get out of life what you put in. If you put out anger, you're gonna get anger. If you put out effort, you will get rewarded for that effort. If you tithe, you will get prosperity in return. It's all the law of karma, essentially, but focusing specifically in, if you don't put the effort in, you're not going to get the rewards for that. I had some tremendously talented co-students, but they just didn't put the time in, or the effort in. I put a lot of my success to the fact that I have always put a huge amount of effort into my work. And that is partly because I enjoy it and it interests me. But it's also because I'm conscientious. I want to do a good job. Because I know when I can look back on my career, look back on my time at this place and go, yeah, you know what? I earned that first class honours. I earned that. And these 3 things, 3 lessons, they're life lessons. It's the same again, life lessons, Rich. You don't know anything, follow your interests, and you only get out of life what you put in. Those 3 things will give you humility, will give you drive, and make you a conscientious person. And that is huge.